Before the arenas, before the awards.
This is b4Nashville Live. Have a question for a guest?
Send it to us via Messenger.
Here's your host, George Davis.
And welcome back to Before Nashville, where we introduce the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. Tonight, joining me, I've got a young lady who just recently moved to Nashville. Nashville's a 10-year town, and she's only about a fifth of the way through that. And we're going to talk to her coming up here in about 30 seconds, so hang tight.
Before Nashville is proudly sponsored by Go-Go Tuners, the go-to tuner for professional and amateur musicians. Get your Go-Go Tuner at gogotuners.com. By Heart to Heart Coffee, the coffee that gives back. Find out more at heart2heartcoffee.com. By Sibby's Apparel, worn by heroes, made with respect. Order yours at sibby'sapparel.com. And by Three Rangers Whiskey, not for the weak or faint-hearted. ThreeRangers.com.
All right, and welcome back to Before Nashville. And tonight, joining me, she hails originally from Minnesota. I think it's called the Land of Lakes. There's a lot of lakes up there, and she loves it, I'm sure. But she made the move to Nashville about 2 years ago and decided, hey, it's all or nothing. So everybody, please welcome to the show, Miss Erin Grand. Erin, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. I'm glad to have you on tonight, and really looking forward to a conversation with you.
Yeah, ditto.
So tell me a little bit about what got you into the whole music scene to start with.
I grew up in a church with a huge music base. That's kind of what I looked forward to when going to church, was the worship. Very contemporary, so like big full band with tracks and lighting and really cool just tech behind the whole thing. It was totally like a production. And
Right.
I fell in love with that right when I saw it, and I was like, man, I want to do that. And so I auditioned to be on the worship team, and then from there on I just kind of would go out of out on different limbs and branch out into secular music, and found my way out here in the country realm.
Right. Now, you kind of did some, like you said, some other stuff. You got into the secular side of it after being in the church and the worship team. And a lot of people, a lot of folks in country music kind of start out in church. That's where they kind of start out singing and things like that. Was music a huge thing around your house?
It's funny because my parents aren't super musical themselves. I mean, they both are great singers, but they never, went through with anything musically. But all of the cousins and grandkids on both sides of my family are extremely talented musically, but none of the parents really are. So we give the credit to God, because it really is not from our parents. God bless them.
Hey, they give you a lot of stuff, and sometimes it's just not talent.
Yes, exactly.
So how old were you the first time that you performed in public?
Oh gosh, I think I was 10 years old. That's when I performed with my worship team. And
Mhm.
then when I went into kind of a secular band, I think I was 13 when I did my first paid
Right.
gig. Yeah. Yeah.
So going into the secular realm, you were doing like more of the pop stuff at that time?
I was really into pop music. That's just kind of what I listened to at the time. So that's what I felt
Right.
like I should sing. And I feel like country in Minnesota wasn't as big at the time that it is now. Um,
Right.
Now, country music is huge up there. I mean, there's so many different organizations and groups and bands that have kind of become since then. But uh, I don't know. I mean, pop was kind of the first thing, and then the soul. I really found like the whole soul genre, and that I was super, super pulled towards. And then once I heard artists like Chris Stapleton and Maren Morris, and I saw that they were taking soul and country and putting them together, I was like, yep, that's what I want to do. That is my niche, and I'm going for that.
Hey, it's an easy way to find it. So you mentioned Marin, and a lot of the stuff I've read about you, Marin was kind of one of your top influences.
Yeah.
Who were some of the other influences that you've had just across the genre gamut, regardless
Yeah.
of what genre they're in?
Marin's definitely the top, but I think Chris Stapleton is another one. Um, I love Dan and Shay, specifically Shay from Dan and Shay. His voice
Mm,
is kind of the lead voice that you hear, is
right.
super soulful. And so I get a lot of my, I guess, inspiration from that too. Um, I love Bruno Mars. I think he's killing it with bringing soul back into music with his whole Silk Sonic group. Um,
Right.
so that's somebody who's outside of the country genre that I really look up to too. So yeah, those are kind of my three.
Now, you're not just a singer because oh, before you got out of high school, you kind of started dabbling with songwriting a little bit,
hmm
and it kind of led into one of your singles, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But uh, what was the thing that you found out? Because you were in a duo, and then the
Yep.
duo split up. Your
Yep.
partner decided they were going to go a different direction,
Yep.
and so that kind of put you, because at that point, obviously you didn't want to quit music, so you went solo.
Right.
And that was that a huge change for you?
Yes. And it was extremely nerve-wracking because I myself didn't think that I could carry just by myself. I didn't think I could do it by myself and carry myself as an artist because I had a guitar player. And I wasn't super strong at the time on guitar, nor am I really now, but that was her talent. I mean, she's still to this day an incredible guitar player. Her name is Madison Straw. Um, and so it killed me to see her, do what she wanted to do and chase her dreams, but it also was needed. She needed to do what makes her happy. Um,
Right.
but I was just dying inside because I'm like, how am I going to do this and do it by myself? And I felt like I had to start from scratch. I had no background. I had no help. It felt like so. I kind of just re-taught myself how to play guitar and started like learning my favorite songs to play, like just different covers,
Mhm.
and just built my set list into a few hours of music and ended up being able to kind of nail it and then kind of figure out how to write my own music too. Um,
Right.
because I knew that once that happened, once the duo split, I knew that I wanted to write songs too, not just, do the cover thing, which is fine. But
Right.
I had things to say, so I
Right.
wanted to say it.
Right. There's very few artists that go anywhere and they go, I'm just going to be a cover artist. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to write. I'm not going to do my own stuff
Yeah.
because I mean, it's like you say, that's you want to do your own thing. You want to express yourself. And as much as you may love, like Chris Stapleton, you should probably leave. It's not going to get you anywhere per se,
hmm
so you have to
Right.
branch out on your own. And you did that. And you actually just in January, you released your EP,
Yeah.
which it's very good. It's got 5 songs on it, I think it is,
Yep.
and a very classy. I mean, and it goes all over. I mean, I've listened to all the songs, and they all have different genres plugged into them. And,
Yes.
and again, we'll kind of get to that here in a minute. Um, but when you're writing, where's your inspiration coming from?
Um, it's honestly, I love, I say this in my bio, I say it everywhere, but I really like to write about what could be and like things that have happened in other people's lives. I am lucky enough and blessed enough to not have gone through a lot of crazy things yet in my life to where I've needed to write these long, crazy ballads or these like crazy, like recovery songs or like anything like that. I, I, I just take, kind of my dreams and put them into a song,
Right.
At the time, a long time ago, I was writing a bunch of love songs. And at that time, I wasn't dating anybody yet. So I was kind of writing about what could be. And now I'm dating somebody, and I have been for 5 years. And it's like, all right, now I can, take the reality and try to make it into something too. So I don't know. I just feel like I like to write about what could be. That's what I always say.
Right. What do you feel like is the most unique aspect of your music that makes people want to listen to it?
Um, I think, like how I had said earlier, I really want to try to bring soul back into country, and I think that's something that differentiates me from others. Um,
Mhm.
I love pop country. I love, sad girl country, and this like 70s vibe that's kind of coming back into country too. But I really want to bring the soul back, and I don't know many people who are trying to do that yet, who
Right.
are up and coming. So I'm excited to make that something.
Right. And it creates an avenue for you because there are artists that are established like Marin, like
Yep.
Chris. There's some others, Dylan Carmichael. Well,
Hmm.
not so much Dylan. Ernest, like Flower Shop, has kind of got that little soulful feel to it.
Yes.
Morgan Wallen does some of that on his stuff. So they've all kind of latched on, but not to, and I don't feel like it's to the I guess footprint of what your music has. I think yours is really a little bit more soul outside of Chris Stapleton. Now it's hard to beat Chris Stapleton when it comes to soul.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he's got it just in his bones. It's in his voice, and that's been
Right,
there for since he was born. But
right.
yeah, I don't know. I like the soul R&B aspect, and I want to bring that in. So, yeah.
So what is as a writer, what is one song that you have heard that you go, "Golly, man, why could I have not written that song?"
Yeah. Um I think My Church by Maren Morris is probably ever since that song came out, I was like, wow, how did I never think of that? That is like, I mean, I've thought of ideas like that, but it just would have never come out that way. So
Right.
that's definitely a big one. Um, I don't know. I feel like that's it. I feel like that's the song. Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one
Hmm.
that you're gonna claim.
Yeah.
Um, so let's kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about like when you're out. I mean, of course, you moved to Nashville at a time that was just terrible for artists because of COVID, and you didn't really get a chance to do much. But now things are opening up. You're starting to get up on stage. You're starting to be able to do some stuff. When you're getting ready for a show, what takes you the longest to prepare? Like hair, makeup, wardrobe.
I was
Um,
just gonna say my face for sure. It's the face. It takes quite a long time. It's funny you ask that because I just posted on Instagram before this interview. I posted a picture of people doing my hair and makeup, and the caption was, "It takes an army," and it really does. Or it takes a village. Whatever I captioned it, I don't remember,
uh,
but it's true. I mean, it's like unless I have somebody doing my hair and makeup, my face takes the longest.
I love the way you phrase that though. It's my face. It's not the makeup, it's my face. My face
Yeah.
takes the longest.
Yep. Yep.
So what's your most I don't want to call it memorable, but I'm gonna say that your most memorable yet embarrassing stage moment.
Uh, I think this isn't really embarrassing. It's more kind of sad. And you know what? It would never fly nowadays, which is so funny. Um, but when I first started playing music, I had this incredible instructor, and he was kind of our band leader, and he was actually a worship leader at our church, and he uh, he took me under his wing and a few other of the kids that were on the worship team and started this secular band. Um,
Mhm.
his number one thing was you always have to have your game face on, basically. And even if you don't feel good or you've got a bad attitude, you need to get up on stage and you need to pretend like nothing is happening and entertain the crowd. And
Mhm.
so I did that. I had a raging fever. I had the flu. I was singing on stage with my band with a bucket on the side of the stage, um, ready for me to go do my business in if I needed to.
Right.
And luckily, I didn't. I got through it with a lot of Tylenol and whatever else I shoved down my body that night. But hey, it worked. I got
Right.
through it. And like I said, that would never fly nowadays. It's just so funny how times have changed. Um, and I will never do that again. I mean, that was like, I wouldn't even wish that on my worst enemy. That was the worst. And it was so embarrassing because I feel like I was sweating and I was just like so ill. It just, and I
Right.
probably looked insane. So, you know what? That was probably my most embarrassing moment. It's more sad than embarrassing, but yeah. Yep.
Well, the good thing is you can blame the sweating on the lights. The rest of it, not so
Yes.
much,
Yes. Yeah.
you know.
Yes. Ugh.
Um, let's talk about the EP for a minute because, like I said, that was released in January and it's got 5 songs on it. And just listening through, and I'm going to start with all of them and then we'll finish out with the single we're going to play and we'll go into that. But
Yeah.
this this is kind of some of the things that I put down on them, like mood, which is starts off on the kind of on the ballady side, but then
Mhm.
when you get into it, there's like heavy guitars and power drums, and it
Yep.
just, even though it's still slower, you've got a lot of big sound to that song.
Yeah.
Where did the idea for that come from?
Well, it's really funny actually. When I started the song, I wasn't even graduated high school yet. So that was I graduated high school in 2017 and I started this song in 2016. And I had the chorus done. But in my head, I kind of had it or wanted the production to be more like casual, like
Mm.
very sultry and sexy and slow and I wanted it to be more of that vibe. And then when we took it in and I gave it to my producer and we finished the whole song, whatever, um, he kind of made a demo of it and it sounded like the way that it was now. And I was like, okay, this is not what I thought you were going to make this to be, but I am in love with it and I want to go for it. Like, let's go for it. Let's go rock and roll. And so it turned into this like rock and roll country. And now, and it's got some pop influence too at the same time, but
Right, right.
it just is funny how the song ended up totally shifting.
Do they ever really come out the way you want them to? I mean,
No,
honestly. Um,
I mean, it's crazy. You think you have it nailed, and then you bring it into the professionals, and they're like, "Nope."
right, right. And you have to trust what they say because they're the professionals,
Yes,
they're the ones that are supposed to know.
yes.
Lonely Does, it's got kind of a, what did I write down here? It's a softer song. It's got dobro in it, or slide
Hmm.
guitar. Sounds more like dobro from the
Yes, it's
key and
dobro.
everything, the sound.
Yeah.
Um, so you were kind of putting more of that older country feel on that song, yet it still carries a lot of pop country weight to it.
Yes. Um, Kind of the inspiration with that song. Well, the song that I listened to a lot while m- producing that song was "Every Little Thing" by Carly Pierce.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what I wanted it to be, was just that vibe. And I really feel like we took it and just made it that, and made it my own, but still had that influence. Um,
Right.
and yeah, you're totally right. It's got that classic old country feel. I mean, like you said earlier, the EP kind of takes every genre and makes it all country, but it's got its little bits of everything else. So yeah.
Right. There's a song in there, I was listening to it earlier, Heartless, and it's kind of a play on words that,
Yes.
because when you look at the title, it's like, uh, it's all put together like somebody that doesn't, there is no heart. You're
Mhm.
heartless, you know.
Mhm.
But yet when you get into the song and you listen to it, it's a totally different take on the word. What what put that thought in your mind to take it that route, but still use the title as like Without a Heart?
Uh, I did not come in with the idea. So
Mhm.
I can't remember exactly who came in with it, but I always write with kind of the same couple people every single Monday, Alex Keel and Channing Krentz. We have a write every Monday, and we always come out with something magical. It's really great with them. And Alex is the one who produced my whole EP as well. But one of those two came in with the idea, and they wanted it to be a play on words. So it was always going to be this kind of play on words. And
Mhm.
Gotta trust my heart less is like me saying, well, everybody tells you to trust your heart and go with your gut and all this kind of stuff. But
Right.
sometimes you think you're trusting your heart and it ends up not, working out and maybe not the right thing to do. And so
Right.
in this instance, I was in a relationship and I thought I was going with my gut and trusting my heart and doing the right thing, and it ended up not being it. And then in the bridge, we kind of turn it around and say, why can't I let myself be heartless? Like, why can't I just back away and not always feel like I have to be the people pleaser and say yes to everything and
Right.
claim, that you're mine. Like, I didn't need to do that. But because I
Right.
didn't want to make you upset, I said yes. And, and then it didn't work out. So that's kind of how we played both of that.
Right. So you said something there that I picked up on that I wanted to ask, because you're talking about being the people pleaser. Is that
Yeah.
normally the kind of person you are? Are you normally a people
Yes.
pleaser?
I am. I am.
Yeah.
I'm very guilty of that. I am working on it well, my goal for 2021 was to start saying no more, and that did
Mhm.
not work one bit. I, in fact, did too much. And now I'm into 2022 and I feel like I'm getting a lot better about that. I'm really
Right.
trying to focus on my main crew of people and the people that I work really well with. I'm trying to kind of stick with and create this whole other project that I have coming. And I'm getting better at it, but I am a people pleaser still. There's many things outside of
And
music.
it's hard to walk away from that. I mean, it really
Yeah.
is. When that's your personality, it's very hard.
Yes.
I'm in the same boat. That's kind of the way I am, but I'm learning to be like, no.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and I do it in a heartless manner when I say no. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I don't even think
Yep.
about it.
That's good. I'm
Um,
working on it.
keep going, girl. You'll nail it. Now, this is a song that I read, um, was, if I remember correctly, in an interview, you said this was kind of your song. And I've noticed in a lot of your songs, there is a reference to a particular alcoholic beverage. And the song is called Better with Wine, and wine's what we're talking about. I'm guessing that you're kind of a wine, I'll say connoisseur. Let's put it that
Yes,
way.
that's nice. Connoisseur is nice. Um, I am not probably a connoisseur, but I absolutely love drinking the beverage and I drink
Mhm.
it frequently. So I no, but there's actually a really funny to tell you that I'm not a connoisseur. There's a very funny video of me on TikTok wine tasting blindfolded, and I tried a red wine and said it was a white wine. So I can't. I just love them all so much that I can't even tell a difference. And you could mix a red and a white together, and I would still drink it. So I just I'm a big wine drinker, and it's funny because I never drank until I was 21, and
Right.
I'm not even kidding. I didn't. I was very scared to drink, um, and no reason. I just was scared of it, and I don't like not being in control of myself, and so I kind of branched out of that, and I have found a good happy medium of having a couple glasses and feeling fine. And but wine is like my favorite. It's so great, and I just love the experience through it all. And I like going to vineyards, and I like doing different wine tastings and pairing things with different things, and it's just kind of become this little side hobby.
Right.
Yeah, I love it.
You and my wife would get along great because that's the way she is. But she's the kind of person to pair it. She's like pairing a red wine with a hot dog.
And you know what? I am so cool with that. Like I mean, people would think I'm crazy. The actual wine connoisseurs would think I'm crazy for this, but I love Riesling, and I will have Riesling with pizza. I'll have Riesling
Mhm.
with a freaking chocolate chip cookie. Like I don't even, it doesn't matter, but you're supposed to have it with fish. You're supposed to have it
Right.
with a fish. And I probably have never even had it with fish before, but I don't care. I mean, I love your wife already that she'll have red wine with a hot dog. I'm right there with
Oh, yeah.
her.
Yeah, I mean, wine is her thing. She drinks beer, she drinks whiskey, but she loves wine. I mean, just
Yeah.
if you saw our house, I mean, I bought her a really nice antique holder, like carry case that holds 6 bottles of wine,
Oh, cool.
and I think they were all full, and that was about 3 months ago, and I think there's one left that's not open.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
a buddy of mine just asked, he said, "Are you sure she's not from our hometown?"
I love it.
So let me respond back to him. That is too funny. Um, now let's talk about the single that's called Casual. First off, I
Yes.
have to address the video outtake that I'm sure everybody has addressed. Your
Yes.
very first time opening a bottle of champagne. I'm
I
sorry, I can see in your eyes you're going, "Oh gosh, why are you doing that?"
no, I love making fun of myself. I am like I love to just self-deprecating jokes are my favorite thing. But I refuse to open a bottle, even like a bottle of wine, like cork, like taking the cork out and popping it.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. It scares the heck out of me and I can't do it. So when they were like, "No, we got to get it for the video," you got to do it. Like you got to just kind of hike up your skirt and let's do this thing. And so I was like, okay, well, if anything, we'll get a funny video out of it if it totally fails. And needless to say, it totally failed. So, but I will say it was not my fault. That thing went totally out on its own. On its own, I was sitting there ready to go, and it just kind of went. So that I don't know. I don't know.
I
That
watched
wasn't on me.
I watched the TikTok video, and the first time I saw it, I laughed, and then I saw it again today. I was trying to dig up something, like some little
Yes.
something that I could rib you about, and that was the only thing that really popped up, and it was so funny because you're, like, gently taking the wire off,
Yep.
and your hand is probably it's, like, down where the bottle gets wider, and your other hand is away, and all of a sudden it pops out, and you look like you're in like a really nice robe or even a
Yes.
dress, I can't remember, and it's
It was
like
a robe.
champagne goes all over you.
I mean, it was just a situation. I had a freshly sprayed on spray tan and I had champagne all over my leg. And so this one leg was a completely different color than the other leg. We had to cover it up. We had to like somehow clean up all the champagne off of my robe and off the floor. And oh my gosh, it was a total disaster. But like you said, my hand wasn't even close to the top. So that thing had a mind of
No,
its own. And they told
no.
me too, they were like, don't worry, this won't happen. Like they fully told me it will not pop on its own. You have to apply the pressure. Nope.
Shows what they know, doesn't it?
Yeah, seriously. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, but the video is really just like the song. It's just casual. You're just
Yes.
in a tub drinking and singing and talking, and
Yeah.
I mean, talking with the singing, I guess. You're telling the story. That's the best way to put it. I totally botched that up. I apologize.
No.
Um, but you're the song itself is, I mean, I checked it earlier and I know, okay, I'm gonna warn you now. Let me make sure my Spotify's turned down on my board
Oh,
here. As soon as I open it, it'll explode with your Spotify music and it'll be something that but I was looking earlier, and of course, because I did the search, it didn't pop up right. Why not? Um, Casual, which is quite honestly your second highest listened to song, and it's not been out that long. I mean, you just basically released that song not long ago.
yeah.
Uh, but it's half of what Mood is, which Mood is your biggest listened to song according to Spotify. I don't look at all of the DSPs or digital service providers. I just kind of look at Spotify and guess
Yeah.
everything else is probably about the same.
Yep.
But what was it like when you first released that EP? Because it was a dream of yours to do that and had
Yeah.
been for quite a while.
Yes. I was in a position of wanting to just get something out there. I had had a couple of songs out in the past that were not really me as an artist. It was kind of one of those things where I felt really pressured to put music out. And so I just did it and didn't really care what it was. I just was being told by so many people, you got to have music out, you got to have music out. And so I just
Right.
wrote up some stuff. I took songs from other people and I put it out there. Um, and I don't want to say I wasn't proud of it, because my first song I ever wrote was put out there, and I'm proud of that. But
Right.
it just wasn't me as an artist. And after after all that happened, I had nothing out. And so I had moved
Mhm.
down to Nashville in 2020, and all that stuff had been released in, I think, 2015. Moved to Nashville in 2020, and I had nothing out, and I wanted to be this artist, and I had nothing to show people. And so finally, I just got some people behind me to put out Mood. And I was like, let me just put out this one song that I'm really proud of.
Right.
And we got that. And then, of course, COVID was going on. So, which ultimately I don't think was a terrible thing. I think a lot of people were listening to more music because that's
Right.
really all you could do was like connect through
Right.
music. And so I think that helped me in a sense. And I think that's why I'm at so many more streams than I might have not have been if, people weren't so hunkered down and didn't have much to do. But
Right.
then I had this opportunity to put out a whole project, and I had the songs done, and they were all in mind, and I was ready to go for it, and so we did it, and I had the right people behind me, and it turned into this beautiful project. And I'm,
Yes.
I all these songs are little stories and parts of me from real life things. I wouldn't necessarily say they're like my sound to a T because, like we said earlier, they're all totally different sounds.
Right.
Um, but this new project that I have coming is going to be completely my sound and my stories together at the same time. So I'm very excited about that. But
Yeah.
this EP I'm so proud of putting out just because it can kind of shows that I can sing every style,
Right.
So yeah, it
Absolutely.
was it was great, and I got to do a little release show here in Nashville, and then got to do a release show back in Minneapolis, where I'm from, and it was just a joy. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I've listened to all the songs, and I like every one of them. I think you're um there was one that I meant to write it down, but you can tell that Maren Morris is kind of one of your influences because the song itself and the way you sing it sounds like something that Maren would pick up and do.
Oh, thank you. That's a big
And
compliment.
I wish I could remember which one it was, but we've kept them in suspense for a little bit, so let's give them a taste. Actually, the song "Casual," which we'll talk about that once we come back. We've got "Casual" coming up here in 30 seconds, so you guys just sit tight, okay?
b4Nashville is proudly sponsored by Go Tuners, the go-to tuner for professional and amateur musicians. Get your Go Tuner at gogotuners.com. By Heart to Heart Coffee, the coffee that gives back. Find out more at heart2heartcoffee.com. By Sibby's Apparel, worn by heroes, made with respect. Order yours at sibby'sapparel.com. And by Three Rangers Whiskey, not for the weak or faint-hearted. ThreeRangers.com.
It's been a long time since I saw you. Remember that night when we couldn't stop fighting? And every time we talk, I think it's too soon to go back to trying. Yeah, I just can't dive in. Baby, let's just take it easy. Not trying to make you crazy. We could take our time, cross a couple lines once or twice. Maybe I'll let you come in closer, but let me think it over. We could take it slow, whatever's natural. Baby, keep it casual. What you say, we try to do this my way. Let's not overthink it. Baby, just lean in. And we can make a couple of mistakes. It doesn't have to be golden. I'm halfway to being open. And baby, let's just take it easy. Not trying to make you crazy. We could take our time, cross a couple lines once or twice. Maybe I'll let you come in closer, but let me think it over. We could take it slow, whatever's natural. Baby, keep it casual. Let's just take it easy. Not trying to make you crazy. We could take our time, cross a couple lines once or twice. Maybe I'll let you come in closer, but let me think it over. We could take it slow, whatever's natural. Baby, keep it casual.
That is Erin Grand, and the song is called Casual. Now, that to me, when you talk about the Maren Morris thing, and I'm not big on comparing artists. I mean, I may compare in my head, but I don't like to do it like
Yeah.
out loud, so to speak. But
Yeah.
that had a very Maren Morris-ish feel. I mean, it has the, kind of the choir, and kind of like my church, it has the
Yeah.
choir, and the nice soulful. I love the guitar in that. I mean, just
Thank you.
the nice slow riff of how they're doing it and stuff. And it just sounds so good.
Thanks.
And I don't know if I'm correct on this, but I, I I love a Telecaster, and it sounded like it was a Telecaster, and just the way that they're picking, I'm just like chills. I mean, it just
Yeah.
sounded so
Oh,
good.
thank you. That's so
You're
kind.
welcome.
Thank you. I don't, I'm probably not the right person to ask. I want to say it was a Telly, but my great friend Jonathan Krentz played on that song, and he killed it. I mean, he's just an incredible guitar player.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and he's in a band himself. They're called Lake and Lindale, so also a Minnesota band. So got to check them
Okay.
out too.
Yeah, I'll have to make sure I do that. Are they
Yeah,
down in Nashville yet, or are they
they
still
are.
focused in? Okay, still
Yep.
focused, or still in that? They're in Nashville. I'll get it out in a minute.
Yep.
So there's a little part of the show that I like to do, and this is just kind of a few off the wall questions that I like to ask. So, how about we get into that real quick, if you don't mind?
Yes, love it.
All right. Well, but we have a little intro for it, so
Okay.
I have to go back to the right one because I hit the wrong one.
Hell? What the hell? The hell? The hell? What the hell? What the hell?
So yeah, it's called "What the Hell" because I mean the questions. That's kind of what you're thinking. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And a couple of them are not so bad, but for most of them, yeah, they're they're kind of off the wall. And we'll start with those weird ones first. Um, let's start with this one because I think this is kind of a fun one. What song has been stuck in your head lately?
Uh, um, oh my gosh, what's okay, this song, I don't know the name of it, but I have nonstop been singing just this part. So please help me. It's an 80s song. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the part's like, love isn't always on time. That has been stuck in my head
Uh,
all weekend, and I don't know. I can't even look it up because I don't know the name of it.
let's see.
I have to like. My dad would be so good at this. I'd have to call him and ask him.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you said, you kind of alluded to the fact that I could answer that question, and I'm guessing it was because my
No, that is not why.
you're
That
like,
is
oh,
not
you can
why.
tell me what it is. I know the song. I know the
Well, it's
song.
only because it's an
Um,
80s song and it's a popular 80s song. Everybody knows
right.
the 80s. So, but
Um,
I'm like, oh my gosh, what the hell is that
and I'm
name?
exactly, and I'm trying to think. Is it? I almost want to say it's Toto that does that one,
It could
but
be.
but
I
part of
don't
me
know.
doesn't feel like that's right.
I've been singing it all weekend. My boyfriend's mom and his sister were in town, and his sister started singing it, and now I have nonstop been singing it in my head.
Well, while we're talking, let's just reach out to the ever so wise Google and shake the
Yeah,
little crystal
see.
ball. Love isn't I want to say
And
it's something toe the line or something like that.
love.
Um, yeah, it is Toto. Love isn't
Okay.
always on time. Yep.
Okay. So
Yep.
that's
There you go.
literally the title.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's what's been
Yes.
stuck in my head. Just literally the title of the song.
I'm proud of myself that I could remember because I mean I've been in radio since the 80s, and so I'm like, wow, I'm surprised I remembered that. But
You nailed it.
so but yeah, and I love whenever you turn that back on me and you go, okay, I'm gonna throw you one too. So
Yeah, there you go. I quizzed you too.
exactly. You put me on the spot. I appreciate that. Um Instead of a last meal, like, and I mean I don't know how else to put this, but like tomorrow is it, and you're gonna have one instead of a last meal, you get one last song.
Uh,
What song would you pick?
um, I think "Love Somebody Like You" by Keith Urban.
Hmm.
Yep, I grew up on Keith Urban. My dad is the biggest Keith Urban fan on the planet, um, and so that is all I ever listened to. And that song just reminds me of like my family, like my mom, my dad, and my sister and me. We would drive to Florida um, when we were younger and just play Keith Urban all the way down. And that song was on the CD that we would play. Um, and so it just reminds me of my family. So I think I would do that one.
Good deal. I can live with that. I like Keith Urban.
Yep.
Um, so when you go into public bathroom, which doll do you normally use?
This is horrible. This is horrible because I think you know what I'm going to say. I use the biggest stall. Okay? I do. I use the biggest stall, and I know one of these days I'm going to be in the biggest stall, and somebody who really needs to use the bigger stall is going to come in, and I'm going to walk out of there, and they're going to put their middle fingers to the sky to me because I don't deserve to be in that big stall bathroom, but I do it anyways.
Right, right. It's kind of like
Yes,
exactly
that's what
like
they
that.
would say. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Um, describe your personality. Is it um oh gosh. I hadn't put his name on here yet, and I need to because golly, Robin Williams, Mariah Carey, or Kanye West.
I have to describe my personality between those three.
Yep.
Okay. Robin Williams, Kanye West,
Mariah,
and Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, it's kind of a mix. This is going to be very surprising. It's kind of a mixture between Mariah Carey and Kanye West.
Really?
Kanye West in the sense of like, I know everybody hates him, especially right now, but I kind of just like the people who are just straight up and like just give you the truth. Like they're just telling you how it is. I really appreciate people like that. And for people who stick up for what they believe in. Mariah Carey in the sense of I'm kind of a diva sometimes. And Mariah Carey is the queen of all divas. So I feel like
Right.
maybe some of that shows, I don't know.
Yeah.
I try
Well,
to really stand strong and firm in what I believe in, and I try to speak up for it as much as I can without offending people, unlike Kanye
right.
West. But
Right. And that's kind of the, they each had, Robin Williams, kind of that fun yet carefree,
yes,
he didn't really care. He just say things and people would laugh. So he just kind of had that. And then Mariah the diva and Kanye is kind of the wacko.
Kanye. Yep.
I don't know.
And I feel like
After
we're
the
all a
whole
little
Taylor Swift
wacko.
thing, it's like,
Yes.
yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're all a
Uh,
little wacko, so we can all kind of
yeah.
relate to him. I'm not funny
Yeah.
enough to compare myself to Robin Williams, so
Oh, all right. Let's go to the next one. If you could take a bath in anything, what would it be?
oh my gosh. Actually, I think I know. Um, this is gonna sound so dumb, but if all my women out there, I'm sure you've seen this on all your Pinterest boards, but there is like there is this it always shows up on my Pinterest board, but this place in Greece, and it's this huge infinity pool that looks over Santorini, and the infinity pool is like full of rose petals and like filled with coconut milk. I don't It's probably not coconut milk, but it's like a milky substance in the
Mhm.
water. And there's rose petals, like literally you can't even tell that it's water. Like if you were to walk outside, you would think you were like it was a garden or something and you would fall right through it. But I think I would want to swim it. Like I want to bathe in that. I want to jump right into that and bathe in some coconut milk and some rose petals. I don't know.
Hey, maybe if your boyfriend's listening,
Yeah,
if you got a
he's in the other
bathtub,
room.
it may not be grease, but hey,
Yeah,
but you
yeah,
can't dive in because it's a little
yep,
shallow. So yeah, just
yep,
stick to the champagne in the bathtub.
yeah,
Um,
yep.
so this one is more of it's a more of a serious question, but the next couple are.
Okay.
But what's your favorite cover song that you play in your sets?
Um, oh man, that's hard. Um, I don't even know. I mean, I think I would have to go with uh, a Bruno Mars song. I mean, anything. If I pull up Bruno Mars and
Mhm.
and pick a song, I would say it's got to be one of those. I love to cover him. Yeah.
Okay. If you could have dinner with one artist who has passed and is no longer with us, what artist would that be? And what would your conversation be about?
Frank Sinatra, hands down. That's probably a pretty popular one, but I also grew up listening to Frank Sinatra a ton. And I honestly would just ask him, like, I would want to have a conversation about the difference in music today versus back then. And, like, I mean, he was around during the craziest times in the world. And I mean,
Right.
honestly, so are we. We're still going through some of the craziest things. And it would be interesting to kind of compare on, you know, our music, you know, back then and now, and how he went through the hard times in the world and how we went through our hard times in the world with music, and how that compares and what the differences are, and I guess things
Right.
like that. Yeah.
And I will say that you are actually the first person I've had that I can recall that's answered it with Frank Sinatra.
Really? Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he is. all-time favorite musician in the whole entire world, Frank Sinatra. Yep.
Good deal. Let me see here. Okay, you are going out on a stadium tour. Now, this is one of these Kenny Chesney, Garth Brooks type tours. You're the headliner. I mean, this is all you.
Okay.
And you get to handpick your 2 openers.
Hmm.
Who would you take with you?
Oh, it's so hard because I never want to like take an artist and that is who they are now and like downplay them into somebody who would open up open up for me.
Right.
But um uh I honestly just I would have to say I would want to bring 2 people who are like my best of friends. I would want to be on tour with somebody who I can have a really good time with. And I know that they will know what I mean when I say this. And I think I have to say it's got to be like my 2 best friends that I would take. And it's got to be Juliette or Brooklyn or both of them, whoever it would be. But I would have to take both of them or one of them, whoever it would be. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's such a hard question because I never want people to think that I would be above them. But yeah,
Right. Right. And that's the whole thing about the question. A lot of people say that, and it's like it doesn't really matter what their status is because it's a hypothetical question. I mean,
it is.
if it turns into reality, fantastic. I mean, I'm glad for that, but for the most part, it's kind of hypothetical. I mean, you could get into like doing auditorium, type shows, and
Yeah.
and I'm not saying you could never do a stadium tour. Quite honestly, I would love to see. Um, like Carrie Underwood has never done a stadium tour. She's done a lot of big arenas,
Yeah.
but I don't think she's ever done a stadium tour. And I don't know
No.
anybody that has, other than that's open. I mean, headlined that kind of a tour,
Yeah.
you know?
I would
Um,
say too, if I'm gonna pick somebody like more famous wise, like a more recognizable name, I would
mhm.
say I would love to have like Ryan Hurd open for me and then like Haley Witters open for me.
Mm.
I love both of their writing and their voices and the musicality of both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Haley, I've been following a lot of her stuff lately. I've been following her for a while and I've really been picking up on a lot of her stuff and she's just
Yeah.
amazing. Um, if you could go back to your 15-year-old self and give that Erin any advice about what the future would be and advice on how to approach that future, what would you say to yourself?
Um I think so there's something that I've lived by pretty recently and I think if I could go back and tell my 15-year-old self this, I would tell her this. Um I was told by my worship director, leader, um, right before I moved. Had to have been around 2017. Him and I were talking, and he was just telling me about Nashville, and we were in this conversation. And he said the best advice that somebody ever gave him was to always play every single show like it's somebody's first show and like it's somebody's last show. And
Mhm.
he said, typically, you don't even have to play like it is somebody's first or last show, because sometimes it is somebody's first show and somebody's last show in that crowd. And the whole last show aspect of that really hit me hard
Mhm.
because if it is somebody's last show in that audience, you want to be pretty freaking stellar for them.
Right.
So I would love to go tell my 15-year-old self that because I think my 15-year-old self was a little naive to all that, and I wouldn't expect my 15-year-old self to think probably that deeply. Um, but I know that if I would have been told that, I would have thought about it more, and I probably would have taken advantage more of my performances. I think, if
Right.
I'm being totally honest.
Right.
I grew up in a town where I I had a lot of opportunity to play a ton of shows and it was my job. It's what I did for a living. And so I feel like sometimes maybe I took advantage of that and nowadays I don't, now that I know that information.
Right. So I want to touch on this real quick because I've read some other stuff, and you have surrounded yourself with a team outside of your band, from what I'm understanding, that is made up primarily of females. And I mean, I know that was done intentionally. Um, what was what led you to doing that?
I love that question. I I think in country music, it's kind of controversial, but in my opinion, and actually it's pretty factual, in country music, women are really, really downplayed and downgraded. And I also just think in general, it's such a like badass move to have a woman-owned company
Hmm.
like bring you up or like just to be in the forefront. And so I always want to support women-owned businesses and um, CEOs and just anything. I mean, it's just I feel like it's such a badass thing. So um, I really want to support that, especially in country music, because it is lacking in country.
It is, and like you said, it's kind of a controversial thing, but it's one that I brought up here a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
as well as some others. I mean, I'm sure if people on Music Row heard some of the things I've said, I'd probably be blackballed from ever even entering the city of Nashville.
Hey, it's the Kanye West coming out in us, right?
Exactly, exactly. Don't get me near a stage.
Yes.
I mean, and I said this before, and people that watch know I work in radio during the day, and I see all of this, shunning of the females. And quite honestly, there are women out there that if you if you base it on their talent, they can mop the floor with a lot of the guys, you know.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I don't want to get into the radio side because that does tend to get me in trouble once in a while,
Yeah.
not that I,
Yeah.
really care, but anyway.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But um I feel like that, females have gotten a raw deal. You know, you ladies work just as hard as the guys, and quite honestly harder, in order to get what you have, because it's so odd because I see with like the so sorry, I have a cat or a dog or something scratching at the door.
Oh,
Uh, I'm like,
I have a
what?
dog too, so maybe it was me. I don't know. It could have been my dog.
Yeah,
We're
I don't know. I'm
we're
like,
currently we're stuck in a hotel room right now, so there's a lot of
oh,
noises.
okay. Well, my cat, I have one cat that comes in, and then our daughter's corgi likes to run in once in a while. That's why I shut the door.
Oh.
Uh, but no, I mean, I feel like that I've just seen so many like females trying to get to that next level.
Yes.
And they have what they need. They have the songs, they have the talent, they have the voice, but for some reason they just cannot break that glass ceiling.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for a long time. I mean, I know for a while people were going, "Oh, okay, it's finally broken." But I mean, you get like Lainey Wilson, for example. I mean, she's kind of tearing it up right now. Of course, her
She
and Cole
is.
Swindell's new song, "Never Say Never," just hit number one,
Yeah.
and then with "Things a Man Ought to Know," I think it topped the charts. And then
Yeah.
Miranda, she's had a lot. Carrie's had a lot, but you can name like I can throw out 15 female names, and those are the only 15 anybody knows.
I know.
And it's sad
Yeah.
because of the talent pool. It's much larger than what it's given credit for.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, I applaud you for your take on it and having um, that circle of women around you to help you out. I mean, I work with a couple of different publicity companies that are ran by women, you know. I don't even think I have a publicity company that I work with that's ran by a man, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, same here. My publicity company is all women as well. So,
Yeah, so I mean, the ones that I work with, they're owned by women, they're ran by women, and you know, like a friend of mine just put up, you know, like where is Martinez, Sarah Evans, you know, the ladies from back then, the '90s and the
right.
2000s, you know, but uh, uh, I mean, there's not been, and another thing, you know, those artists have not put anything really new out of late,
Right.
but I feel like if they did, I think they would still have a struggle,
I totally agree. Totally
you
agree.
know?
It just is what it is, and it's really too bad, but I think we are doing better than it has been. I will say.
Right.
I will say. I mean, I was in the car the other day listening to the radio, and they played two females back to back, and I about
Oh
pulled the
yeah.
car over to record it. I mean, it's like it just was like, are you kidding me? This is actually happening. Like this is huge. I mean, there was a
Yeah.
time, there's a story that I always tell. There was I can't remember who told me the story, but I was playing a Song Suffragettes round at the Listening Room Cafe, and a
Mhm.
woman there was telling us a story about a radio host, and she was talking to him, and he had said at one point he was told he would get fired if he played two females back to back.
Right.
And I mean, my jaw fell to the floor. I was like, seriously? I mean, what the hell? I
Right.
mean, it's just, I mean, it's absurd to me. And so when that happened, I was like, yay, okay, we're making some headway, you know?
Right.
And, you know, Song Suffragettes is a big part of that, I think.
Well, and I mean, I've been in radio for a lot of years. I'm not gonna date myself, but, you know, I've been in it for a lot of years. And that was one of the things I saw, and it was primarily country music. Now, pop music, they didn't care, you know, if you played 2 females back to back,
Yeah,
but pop music was more female prevalent than what country was, and then you get into country and it's like, "No, you can't do that." And
right.
I mean, it was like a fear a lot of DJs had because they're like, "Oh my gosh, 2 women just played back to back, you know, what am I gonna do?"
Right.
So I go look for another job. You know?
Right. Right.
And they just instilled that in them that, "Hey, you know, you can't do that." But now it's gotten a lot more lax. I mean, I've had that on my show a few times where it's been, you know, um, like Miranda or Lainey would come up back to back or something like that. And I don't even, if they show up that way and they're not separated by like imaging or a liner or something, then I just let it
Yeah.
roll.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even talk between them. I just let it roll just to see what
Yep.
happens. But a lot of people love that. I mean, you know, you get those, you know, those women. Uh, I mean, and there's so many good ones out. Like Ashley McBride, she's one of my favorites, and she is so underplayed.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah.
you know, Carly Pierce is even underplayed. Miranda, I mean, uh, and that goes back to the
Well,
radio thing, and that's a different gripe for another day.
right, but I mean, and the thing is we have so many males in the industry who agree with all of us females, but it's
Right.
these higher up CEOs and label owners and just whoever they are that overpower all of us, male and
Right.
female, and they're executives, so they make the executive decision, and that's why I feel
Mhm.
so pulled to be with female-owned businesses because we got to push the females up into those executive positions so that they can make those decisions and put their foot down and be like, "You're going to play five females in a row because I said so, and because we
Mhm.
can now." So that's why I
Right.
work with females, especially in country.
And I again, I applaud you for that. I think that's a very good move on your part, and I think that when people really hear, you know, and get a hold of that, then they're going to, I'm going to put this remark up. I don't know if you can see that or not. Um
Oh, that's
uh,
awesome.
and Um, I think that's just, you know, that's the kind of backing that needs to be done. People in the industry need to take hold of that. I would love to see, you know, I know like in the record companies, I see what's going on day in and day out, who gets moved where, you know, who's put in
Yeah.
what position, that kind of stuff. But I got to be honest, the problem that I'm seeing is it's all figurative.
Yeah.
They're not making decisions, even though they're in a, if a man were in that same role, he would be making decisions.
Right.
And for whatever reason, you don't see them making those decisions.
No.
And I feel like that's kind of a, you know, a slap in the face for women, if you will.
Yeah,
So, um,
for sure.
you know,
For sure.
and I hate that. But anyway, I'm going to get off that subject because this is going to turn into like a 4-hour
I know.
conversation.
I
And
know. I
again, like
know.
I said, I will be definitely hated the next time I'm in Nashville. If they don't know my name, they'll find it out.
No.
We got this guy on the radio that we're just, you know, it's like, okay, whatever. But where can folks find more about you?
Well, I am an open book and I love to share my life on social media. So definitely follow me on social media on Instagram. I'm just at it's Erin Grand. And then on Facebook, Erin Grand Music. And both of those I'm very very active on. So and Twitter too. So Erin Grand
Mhm.
Music. You can kind of type that into every single search bar and I will come up.
All right, awesome. And I did look at your website earlier. Not really touring right now.
No,
At least
no.
you don't have any up. So
No, I'm currently working on like I said a little bit earlier, I'm working on trying to get a new project out and some new,
okay,
just kind of revamp my style here.
right,
And so once all that's out, there's going to be a lot of fun things next year. So I'm very excited
awesome,
about that. Yeah.
awesome. So once the identity is lined out, so to speak, because you've already started getting into that, there's just some tweaks you have to do along the
Yep,
way, and then we'll
exactly.
start seeing Aaron Grand out on stage more.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm excited about that. Maybe I can somehow figure out a way to get you around the area to let more people hear about you.
Yes.
Um, we do this every Monday and Thursday night. It's before Nashville. We bring in country stars that are just like Aaron, that are up and coming, that are new, and we want you to hear them. And you can do that. We also, which I haven't updated in a while, and I apologize, I have a Before Nashville Spotify playlist that you can go to and pull a lot of the music off. And I do have to update that. I am so far behind on that. It's not even funny. It's like I'm going to have to just, you know, disable and start a new one or something. I don't know
Yes,
because
I
it's so
feel
far
that.
behind. I have so much music I need to put on there. And then also, like I said, Monday and Thursday nights, we do this live. So please join in, watch us. We're on Apple, we're on iHeart, we're on TuneIn, we're on Google Podcast. You can catch the podcast just about anywhere. So anywhere you get your podcast, you need to make sure to join us. Erin, again, it's been a great time just sitting and chatting with you, and I appreciate your time. And thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show and coming on board and putting up with some of these ridiculous things that I ask.
I love it. Seriously, any interview is fun, but I love an interview that's got some funny questions in it to break the whole music talk. It's refreshing. So I appreciate it. Such a fun time.
You're welcome, and I appreciate that. So we will see you again. I will definitely be keeping an eye out on you on your socials,
Awesome.
and hope to see, you know, when that new stuff comes out. I want to be one of the ones to start pulling that over, and I'll get the playlist updated to where I can put that in there too.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
gives me a while, so
Absolutely. That's all right. I appreciate it a ton. So thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
you're welcome. So be sure to join us again Thursday night right here on Before Nashville. Till then, you guys take care of everybody. And as I always say, love the ones you hug and hug the ones you love.
No.